Hello and welcome to Sansad TV. 2 days P20 summit. The Parliamentary Forum of G20 has concluded. It has been organized under the presidency of Bharat, India, with the cooperation of IPU, Inter-Parliamentary Union, a forum which works to promote democracy, peace and sustainable development. We have with us Mr. Duarte Pacheco, the president of IPU. Very welcome to Sansad TV, sir.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be with you and to share the conclusions of our meeting here in New Delhi.
This is your second visit of India. How do you find it is in the last leg?
No, it's my second time here, and just to reaffirm the compromise of India with democracy. You are not just the largest democracy of the world, you are a real democracy with different political parties, different ideas, levels. Municipal, state levels, national level, and everyone can be free to express your opinions, to fight for what you believe. This is democracy, and we are not just in the largest democracy, but a real democracy. And so it's a pleasure to see the commitment from the Indians in general, and the Prime Minister reaffirmed it yesterday. The commitment of India with democracy.
We will be coming to that democracy part. It has already been mentioned in that declaration also. But before that, let me ask you one thing. The theme which has been decided for this P20 summit under the leadership of Bharat, that one world, one future, one family, which has been derived from some Vedic text, Vedic shlok, Vasudhaiv Kutumbakam. Do you really find that the whole summit is on the same line and the outcome and the resolution which has been adopted on the line of that theme?
I believe that everyone understood with the pandemic how small is our world. Sometimes we forget it and we begin fighting each other, forgetting that we should live together in peace and harmony. But the pandemic showed that we are a small family, a small world. Just in a few weeks, a virus appeared somewhere in Asia, across all the continent, through Europe, through Africa, to America. And everyone was affected, south and north, rich and poor, people with different cultures, religions, everyone was affected, showing that we are a small world, we are a family, that what happened to you will affect me as well.
Exactly.
And after it, I believe that all the countries, especially with the international organizations behind, try to work together to solve other problems of the world. Yes, one earth, one family, one future. What you do or not to do will affect my future as well. That's why we need to work together.
If I recall well, that you took the chair of the IPU president in amid the COVID.
Yes. No, it was the first time in IPU. IPU is the largest organization of parliamentarians. We have now 180 parliaments across the world. More than 46,000 parliamentarians are represented in our organization. 134 years old, but for the first time, we needed to organize the elections in a virtual way. It never happened before. It was always possible to meet in person and everyone vote. With COVID, we had a new challenge. But also not just to the IPU, but to the parliament as well. And the answer of the parliaments was very positive, because the parliaments did not close the door. The parliaments still working, taking special measures to help the economy, to help the families, to give more investment in health, to solve the pandemic, but also to fiscalizing the government, what they are doing. And this was a good example that we should follow for the future. Sometimes people think the parliamentarians don't do nothing. No, we work very hard, and we show that also in this special moment when we have a strong lockdown everywhere. The parliaments did not lock down. The parliaments still worked.
Kept on working.
Because it was essential to
Let me ask you one question related to this working of the parliament. Third point of the joint declaration, joint statement, joint draft says that it talks about the implementation part.
Of course.
I think we keep on adopting resolutions and joint declarations, and how difficult it is to implement all those resolutions which has been adopted. And since you had a forum which deals with the parliaments and parliamentarians across the globe, so if we exactly ask that to what extent, what is the parameter, and to what extent we are really in the position to actualize, to implement those all resolutions, what you have to say?
You are right, implementation is essential. Why we came from different countries, many hours flying to meet each other, talk about the issues, to reach consensus, to adopt resolutions, and after it, nothing happened. We needed to, and people will not understand, of course, and so we needed to have implementation of the decisions, of the resolutions that freely we decide to approve. Of course, we have two things. Sometimes people implement it, yes, but we don't have a capacity, they don't report what they are doing. And so we have a lack of information, 1 point. Other times, people forget to implement it, yes, happen as well. So what IPU decided, during our assemblies, that we met, we have 2 assemblies each year, spring and autumn. So now, during our assemblies, we have 1 segment about implementation.
Okay.
Where every country are invited to say what they did with of the resolutions we approved before.
Okay.
And if a parliament forgets to answer, we put on the screen the name and the flag of this country.
Okay.
A little bit pressure. Because no one likes to see our country, our flag, on the screen saying that we didn't do nothing.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit pressure to incentive everyone to implement what we decided. Otherwise, people again will not understand what we are doing.
The joint statement starts with the subject international development cooperation, which we all know that G20 started with that all motive, global trade, implementation, exchange of so many things. And the Parliamentary Forum started then after, so many years later. WTO Parliamentary Forum is also there. IPU is part of that Parliamentary Forum. So do you think that parliaments across the globe is really affecting somewhere the trade part?
In the final process, the international agreements that our governments are doing coming to the parliaments to be ratified. So we may say all the parliaments have a word, but also usually it's just a final word. And all the governments are making pressure to the government, say it was so difficult to achieve one agreement, it's impossible to reopen the process, you need to vote yes or no, and please vote yes. What we are trying now is to have parliamentarians' perspective and presence during the negotiation process.
Okay.
And this way we may influence to give inputs, also because the parliaments are more plural than the government, because we have different sensibilities inside of the parliament. And so they can participate, they can give the inputs to the negotiation process, but also the parliamentarians will understand sometimes the difficulties that the governments have to reach one agreement. Because, of course, there is no country that will achieve 100% they wish. Otherwise, it was not a negotiation. It is one imposition. When we negotiate, we give something, and we will lose another part. It is usual. And so, this is how we try to do, to put the parliamentarians in trades, in environment meetings, COP, that will happen very soon here in Dubai, nearby, or about other telecommunications agreements, about financial of the investment from the United Nations. We are trying always to have parliamentarians during the process of negotiation.
You have started with that remark. I specifically would like to ask about the democracy part. And it has been mentioned in that declaration also that democracy is something not new for the human civilization. And we claim that we are the mother of democracy. Democracy is not just a form of government for us. We are, that is there in our behavior. Our PM has again and again reiterated that thing. Even in the inaugural remark it has come. You have also said so many things about that. And the central theme of this whole P20 summit was that resilience of democracy also. And IPU also works to promote that democracy also, apart from peace and sustainable development. What you have to say about that?
We, IPU in our flag, I try to say we don't have a flag here, but in our flag we have always democracy for everyone. So we defend democracy since the beginning of the organization. Democracy is the best way to have the government of the country, because it represents really the will of the people. Otherwise, alternative is someone that took the power and decide what he wish. He thinks it is good for the nation, I believe, but it is not the concrete exposition, manifestation of the people wish. So democracy always. Now we have a lot of challenge to democracy, and that's why we need to talk about it every day. I will always say democracy is like health. Sometimes we just think about it when we lost it.
Okay.
And so we need to defend democracy every day. And because of this, we need to understand the challenge of democracy. Because if we think everything is perfect, I will work as I did it 100 years ago, I will lose, because the reality changed so quick. People have different perspectives, different aspirations, and I am giving answers with 100 centuries. Social media.
Yes.
We needed to understand how regulated. Populism. It's easy to understand that democracy is not so efficient, may I say, as one autocracy. Because one autocracy, I say, I want this building yellow, and tomorrow someone will paint the building in yellow. In democracy, I will have consultations. I try to reach a consensus. And it's only after this, the building will be paid.
To that decision.
And so, it is not, the efficiency is not the same. But of course, we are able to pay this lack of efficiency because we respect the will of the people, what they wish.
We are running short of time. You have to go to some other engagement as well. One question that our parliament has passed that 33% reservation for women, and you have visited that our parliament building also. And that has been debated, discussed all through this summit, gender equality and everything, and had been given space in that joint declaration as well. One point which is specifically I would like to ask, that there has been a point that violence against women parliamentarians.
Yes.
What is that?
Allow me, first of all, congratulate the Parliament of India for the decision.
Thanks a lot, sir.
You know, 22 was the first year in history where all the parliaments we have a woman. You can't imagine that? It's a good news, yes. But just in 22? It's just possible to think that in 21 we have parliaments without a woman represented? Mamma mia. We need to understand that we have a lot of work to do. And also against women parliamentarians. Because they need to resist. Violence is not physical, but bullying exists in many parliaments against the participation of women. The men that are there need to accept it, their presence, because sometimes it comes from a regulation, but they try not give space for them and persecute them when they try to have more visibility, for instance. And this is real pressure. And sometimes with some sentence that will affect the honor of the women parliamentarians as well. And we needed to, and it happened everywhere. We may think it's just in special countries. No, In all countries, you may find cases like this in Europe, in Africa, or in America, or in Asia. We find that, unfortunately, law is one thing, the practice is something different. And we still have persecution against women in many parliaments of our world.
Okay, we find a resolution related to skill development across the globe. And it says that there should be a skill-based migration path, which is something very specific. And it also says that there should be a mapping of global skill gaps. So how will it be implemented, which is very much required for the global need?
First, the pact on migration is something that is essential. I always think, how is it possible that the leaders of Europe, for instance, go every night sleeping with people dying, try to cross the Mediterranean? Thousands of people dying. And everyone sleeps well with this situation? I don't know how it is possible. That's why the pact on migration is essential. Of course, we need to have good governance in many countries, because if they have good governance, people will find a job, they will have hope, and they will not try to run away. No one left the country if they have a good life in their own country. And so, good governance there, but also regulate the channels of migration that is sometimes with some mafias that just try to get money from the people that have nothing to give. And we will work very hard to achieve this pact. The share of knowledge, we need to continue, is essential, because without education and without access to knowledge, we don't have development. Today, I will say, it's more universal, the knowledge, than, for instance, when I was at university. I am a little bit more older than you, and so on my time, when we don't have Wi-Fi, we don't have, it's not possible to go to the internet to find information. To study, I need to wait a friend that are going to London to buy a book that I need to study, and then when I came back to Lisbon, I will begin using the book. Now, my son don't need to ask someone to go to London. He can buy it directly, or he can achieve the same information directly at home. And it happened in Europe, but it happened here in India as well. And so you have the same access to knowledge that one European or that one American. But unfortunately, it's not completely universal inside the countries.
One last question, sir, that in the joint declaration, there is that on one point, that terrorism has been, whole world should act against the terrorism. It is the most serious threat to the world peace. In his inaugural speech, our PM also mentioned that almost 2 decades ago, our parliament was attacked. And he said that the whole parliament should be in one voice against that terrorism. And you are being the IPU president, what do you think that there should be, there can be, until what time there will be one voice against the terrorism?
Terrorism, point. And need to be condemned every day, everywhere. If someone crazy, because I don't think that can be in their mind, came with a gun inside a concert hall and kills 100 persons in Delhi, in Moscow, in New York, or in Lisbon, or in Jerusalem, is a terrorist. Point. It not depend of the space where this act happened. It's the act that is terrorist, because it's just killing innocent people and need to be condemned. I think it's not possible to accept this kind of acts everywhere. Another thing is how to fight it. And we may understand that people sometimes lost hope completely. And when they lost hope, they do crazy things. And we need to understand why they lost hope and try to avoid these cases may grow. Conditions of development, education, but especially hope. If one young man or woman believe that they will have a future, that they will have a family, that they will have conditions of life, maybe he will not become a terrorist. If they think, what, I don't have nothing to eat, my family is dying because I don't have treatment, health treatment, I don't have a job, I don't have nothing, maybe it can be more open mind to say we need to change this and try to do crazy things. That's why the leaders need, okay, fight terrorism and condemn terrorism always. Not possible to try to find one excuse for it, but on the same time, to understand the causes and to work to solve them to avoid more terrorist attacks.
That's fine. I have many more questions to ask, but time is not permitting. So thanks a lot for talking to Sansad TV, and all good wishes for the implementation part, which is your main challenge being
Yes,
IPU
sir.
President. So we were talking to Inter-Parliamentary Union President Mr. Duarte Pacheco regarding the declaration which has been adopted after the P20 summit, Parliamentary Union, part of G20 under the presidency of India. Thanks a lot for watching Sansad TV.